Okay, everyone, today's story is about a 40-year-old woman by the name of Ruby, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize in advance. Ruby Graupera-Cassimiro. And she was from Deerfield Beach, and she was scheduled on September 23rd, 2014 to have a C-section. Thus far, everything was good and normal. She wasn't expecting any complications or anything like that. So she goes into the hospital, and it was in Boca Raton Regional Hospital where she went that day. And again, scheduled C-section. She ends up having the baby, healthy baby girl. All was good and normal until it wasn't. She was actually laughing and talking with family in the recovery room when all of a sudden she coded. The doctors and nurses had to call a code blue, began CPR immediately, and get the defibrillator paddles out. This was shocking, obviously, as things were going well. No one knew really why this was happening in the moment. Her family was shocked and stunned and confused and scared. I can't imagine all that adrenaline going and not really knowing, okay, what's going on here. After the code blue, as it's going on, reports said that the code blue, the paddles, CPR, and all that was going on for like over 3 hours. So I would assume that maybe they would get a pulse, then not, back and forth, till eventually Ruby was without a pulse for 45 minutes. And at that point in time, unfortunately, the doctors, it was time to call it. And, they pronounced Ruby deceased. As all this was going on, her folks and her family, they were out in the hallway and they began to pray, and they were crying and they were upset. There was one article I saw that the mom at one point was just screaming out in tears, crying that for God to basically take her instead of her daughter. So just awful. As her family were just on their knees praying, a nurse by the name of Julie Ewing actually came out there. She dropped to her knees, held hands with the family, and began praying. And then kind of a side note, kind of what's going on here from a medical perspective, they said that Ruby had an AFE. What that is, it stands for amniotic fluid embolism, and it's rare. Mayo Clinic says that they don't really know why these occur, but when they occur, the amniotic fluid, which that's the fluid that cushions the baby when it's in the mama's belly, it actually leaks and seeps out into the bloodstream. So due to this, that ends up causing clots, which then in turn lead to cardiac arrest, unfortunately. And it happens pretty quick, and they don't really know why. It's very rare. So that's actually what's going on from, the medical perspective as all this is going on, and the CPR and the family praying. During the efforts to save Ruby, again, Julie Ewing had dropped to her knees to pray with the family. And another nurse by the name of Claire Hansen, she was in the operating room at the time, and she ended up peeping her head out into the hall and telling the family and the other nurse, Julie Ewing, to don't stop, keep praying, keep doing it, don't stop what you're doing. And the reason she did this is because when she was inside the room, and again, remember, Ruby had already been gone for over 45 minutes. How do I put that into words? She was just gone. And Claire Hansen had all of a sudden, while she was in the room, heard this blip, 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 and it started to increase. And, you got to imagine, I know if it was me, I'd have been like, what? Because I'm not a practicing nurse currently, but I went to nursing school. I'm an RN, so I know me personally, I would be like, what in the world? she looked over and the monitor that Ruby was still hooked up to had started back, that which meaning Ruby's heart was starting on its own. You know, she'd already been taken off the life support measures, had been gone for 45 minutes. So you don't know what would go through your head in that moment. But I know I'd be like, what? So anyway, Claire Hansen pops out, says, keep on praying, don't stop. Eventually, the heart monitor gets stronger and stronger, and Ruby comes back on her own. I think enough said there. Miracle, yes. When Cassimiro actually woke up and came to, she was in the ICU room, so she had no idea what was going on. She actually thought that she was just waking up from the C-section earlier. She didn't really understand quite what was going on, but she knew something was not right because she saw her family looking over her, all hugging and happy but crying, that, you know, just amazed that she came to, or came back to life, basically. So she knew something was not quite right. And, you know, the miracle does not stop there, folks. Not only did she come back to life, but you got to remember, okay, no oxygen for over 45 minutes to the brain. Everyone pretty much knows, whether you're in the medical field or not, you would have brain damage. Well, Ruby had none. No brain damage. She had no bruises on her chest, no contusions from, the compressions during CPR. No burn marks from the defibrillator paddles on her skin. None of that. So really, this is just several miracles wrapped up into one big one, in my opinion. I think it's really cool. And I really enjoyed reading and learning about this story because I've never heard something like that. And then also after the fact, after all this, and Ruby had some time to think and come to and recover fully. She does remember that while this was all going on, she does remember seeing her deceased father. That's really cool. I have heard and read about near-death experiences where people see past loved ones and things like that. So I thought that was really cool. When she saw her deceased father, he actually told her that she would have to come back. And that's another common thing I've heard with people that have had the near-death experience type situations. A quote Ruby stated, she says, God had the right people in the right place, end quote. And I agree with that. God certainly did have the right people in the right place at the right time. He knew what he was doing, and he knew that family, that nurse, they were praying for hours on their knees, and he came through in a big way. A way that you just don't see happen on the daily. I really enjoyed this story, guys, and I hope you did too. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.